right now by one of the greatest actors alive on the planet. It is my pleasure to be interviewing Academy Award nominee Willem Dafoe for his role in Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things. Willem, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
It's amazing to have you here because you have such an amazing career, so many great roles to speak to. But I want to know, curiously, just starting from the beginning with Poor Things, what was the first Yorgos Lanthimos film that you remember seeing that made you go, I want to work with that guy someday? And then how did Poor Things land in your lap?
Okay. I think it was the first film I probably saw was Dogtooth. But I think, well, with time, I had seen all his films. And I thought this guy's great. He has a really specific vision. I liked his movies a lot. But, you know, sometimes you think, oh, you can like a filmmaker, but you can't imagine yourself in one of his movies. So I wasn't particularly fixated or thinking that he would, ever be working. I would ever be working with him. But I think when I saw The Favorite, something shifted, and then I saw him on the circuit of interviews and things like that year. Maybe I could work with this guy. Maybe he could put a call into me. And they were very direct, and they said, this is what we're doing. We'd love you to play this character. This is who he is. And this is when we want to do it. What do you say? We'll send you the script. I read the script. I adored it. It's like moronically simple.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, your presence in the movie adds so much to the overall tone of what they're going for. When I think of someone that's playing mad scientist with a heavy
I bristle at the word mad scientist.
Well, the things that he's doing are definitely unconventional, but he has a heart of gold for sure.
Yes,
and
of course.
I have to imagine that had great appeal to you to play a character that I think has gone through a tremendous amount of personal trauma, but is someone that is also conveying a great amount of love through his work and also bestowing it upon his creations.
But I wasn't aware of that until we actually did the movie. You know, the beauty is the relationship he has with her, which seems like maybe it's kind of smarmy at the beginning, but then you realize that there is a love story there, and there's no model for it. You know, he's not a father figure exactly. He's not a mentor exactly. He's a little bit of many things. And given his history and his dedication to science and his hopes for a better life for her and for himself, there is something touching. But you don't know that until you do it. I don't read it necessarily and recognize that until you actually play those scenes. What I did respond to is just working with Emma, working with Yorgos, this fantastical, invented Victorian age. Then some fun challenges, you know, the makeup, working with a mask like that, with an accent, with a period film. There were many pleasures. So you don't know what it is till you get there, but you do have some instincts about why you're drawn to it.
Yeah. Do you like to do deep dive background on your characters before you get to set, like kind of formulating what their backstory is?
It depends. Sometimes, you know, I do whatever research I need to do to feel like I have the authority to pretend, you know, to say, I am this guy. You do create experience, or you get information that makes you feel like it gives you a place to start. But often, you know, it's not always conventional research. It's usually learning to do the things that they do. And because that's a practical thing. And at the base of all performing, it's doing things. So I did learn how to suture. I come from a medical family, so I grew up around labs and surgery and all that stuff. So that was in my blood a little bit. And too bad my father's not around to see me play a surgeon. But there were lots of things floating around, and also what was very helpful was I looked at videos of the writer of the novel.
Yeah.
And while Tony McNamara did a beautiful job adapting it, it's quite faithful in other ways, and then other things have been changed. For example, the story in the novel is told from many points of view, where it comes very much from Emma's point of view in the film. But I listened to videos of the writer, and he was quite eccentric and quite interesting, and he was sort of an inspiration for the character.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that in terms of like inspiration from the novel versus also McNamara's screenplay, but it sounds like you pulled together from all different resources here. Curious to know, especially when
you play scenes. You play scenes is what you do.
Yeah,
you play the reality. You play the actions.
When you are discussing his character with Yorgos, what direction does he give you for where you want to take this, or does he leave it all up to you?
There's no discussion. We do things. We play around. He's a very cultured guy. He knows many things about many different disciplines. So he's fun to be around. He teases you a lot, makes fun of you sometimes in a very playful way. If you go to any bag of tricks, he busts you immediately. I don't think I'm particularly prone to that, but I think everyone is to some degree. He makes the world. Like all good directors, this isn't absolute, but a lot of the time I feel like my best experiences are where a director makes the world so complete that the situation tells you what to do.
Yeah.
No discussion necessary. The world takes on its own logic, and you step into that water and it carries you, as long as you step in the right way.
Yeah. And I have to imagine being surrounded by all those practical sets and just the work that goes into the craftsmanship of this movie, it definitely helps inform a lot.
There's a lot of stuff that's sweetened in post, but my part in particular, that house was just beautifully made. It had such incredible detail. When I wasn't actually shooting, I'd usually hang out on set, and I go and I just look at all the props and take some of the books out of the bookcase. And they weren't just like fillers. They weren't just like something for a visual thing. You'd open them up, and there were surgical diagrams specific to our story. I mean, the detail was off the hook. It was really incredible. So when you're immersed in that, you have a lot of support, and the world is defined, and it becomes just immersion, and not a lot of discussion, but just a good, playful spirit.
What is this device that he has hooked up to himself when he is eating? I imagine it has to do with something to do with like gastral. Like I'm not sure exactly.
He explains it quite briefly, but his father has experimented on him and basically removed. I can't remember. We shot 2 years ago, but has removed something that he wanted to see if it was necessary for digestion. And it turns out it is.
Yeah.
So he needed help to digest his food. So he's hooked up to this machine, and of course has these very phantasmagorical belches.
I love it. It was one of those things.
If you haven't seen the movie, it sounds freaky, but if you're in the movie, it seems quite normal.
Oh, and it gets a great reaction. Yeah, definitely. I particularly love that moment. Now, I'm also thinking too about the makeup work that was done. We talked with the team who did it, but what I want to hear
You
from
did it.
you, though, especially how it compares to what you went through on Shadow of the Vampire as well. Like, can you tell me just a little bit about that process?
Sure. I mean, I tell myself that I should shut up about the makeup process because it's the last thing you want people to think about when they're watching the movie.
Sure.
And also, it always sounds when you talk about long hours in the chair, it always sounds like you're complaining or you're looking for something. But
I
actually,
like to look at it as a hallmark of good work. You know, time and effort was
okay.
put into it.
Yeah, and actually, that time and effort helps you because you sit in that mirror and you can't sleep because what they're doing is intricate enough that you have to stay awake, and you see yourself disappear, and this character, at least superficially, come to life. And that is a beautiful day to start out your day of trying to inhabit the character. Um, it's a long process. They have pieces, they glue them together, then they blend them and paint them. Not only did I have facial makeup, I had a kind of prosthetic on my body to misshapen my
Yeah.
abdomen because I have this problem. And also my hands, my thumbs are disfigured as well from experimentation because
Yeah.
my dear old father in the story experimented on me. I was his guinea pig.
Yeah. How does something like that, a backstory reveal like that, inform then what he's ultimately trying to achieve with Bella? Because I have to imagine there's got to be some layered character work there in terms of what the character ultimately desires from attempting this with Bella.
Well, I think he's dedicated to science.
Hmm.
He's distrustful of emotion. Of course, he says, he says he made a mistake with Bella. He became too emotionally involved. He distrusts emotion. He believes in uh, discovery and science and changing the way things are. Um, so he's dedicated to that. And of course, the touching thing about that is perhaps that's a way to be able to stomach his very difficult relationship with his father and the damage that's been done
Hmm.
to him in this life because he's been handed a lot of he's been robbed of a lot of pleasure and a lot of good living in the service of his father's quest for discovery.
Yeah.
So rather than lament that, he in fact embraces it, which is quite kinky, but is somehow in the spirit of this invented Victorian age.
Yeah, definitely. Rami Youssef is an actor who is very young still in his career. You have quite a few scenes opposite him. Was
Yes.
there any parting words of advice that you offered to him, and what was he like to work with on this film?
No advice for him. He's very skilled. All you have to do is watch his stand up and see how skilled
Oh
he is.
yeah, he's hilarious.
He's a very sweet, kind guy, sensitive, and he was very well cast in this. I think he does a beautiful job. I had a lot of scenes with him, and we both went to uh, a woman that worked in the coroner's office, and she taught us how to stitch and cut and operate,
Wow.
which was kind of our bonding experience.
I mean, I have to imagine something as intricate as that must be really. I mean, not so much difficult to learn because they're giving you like kind of a crash course 101, I imagine, version of it.
They are, and we're cutting on pieces of meat and things like that.
Hmm.
And and you don't see it so much in the movie, but it helps with your imagination. And also in the movie, there is some of that. So when you get there, you better have some authority, you better have some skill, you better have some confidence in being able to do it.
Hmm.
So it was good preparation.
As someone who has had some of the most, I dare I say, iconic death scenes in cinema history, from Platoon to from Spider-Man, where does your, spoiler alert, death scene in Poor Things rank for you? And can you just tell me a little bit about that character kind of coming full circle by the end?
Ah, where that's a spoiler, but I've got a friend that always says to me when he says, "Hey, your new movie, do you die in this one?" And when I say yes, he goes, "Oh, damn, you got to live with one of these." Look, I don't know what to say about this. I love doing this movie, and I I really adore Emma. She's a great scene partner, and it was really
Yeah.
fun to see make this performance. And I liked all the actors. We really had a wonderful time. That's not always the case. I mean, you like some, you like others less. I liked everybody on this. So whenever you have a death scene, and it's
Mhm.
quite a tranquil one, and it comes on the heels of an illness, that's a very loaded thing. So it's done quite simply, but when I see it, I'm I'm touched. So I think uh, we were able to capture something, and maybe that was just a little imagination and my love for these other people.
Yeah, I think that comes across because I was very emotionally struck by how meaningful and profound
It's
that
very
scene
simple.
felt. Yeah.
It's very simple, but one thing that I like about the character, and you don't know this until you see the movie, really, you aren't conscious of this when you're doing it, but um, so much of the movie is fun and kind of comic and surreal, that the relationship between the Bella character and my character, Godwin Baxter, is touching. I think
Mhm.
it's complicated, and there's a lot of heart there, and I think in the end that's what I like about it.
Now, you had, like you said, such a great time working on this project with so many of these people. We're going to get to see you do it again next year with And as well.
It's
So that's, I imagine that must be very exciting that you're having back-to-back years of good connections with great people.
You're absolutely right, and yeah, and nobody has been talking about that, so I won't talk about it either. But
Totally fine.
I was very happy to work with some of the same people that I worked with on Poor Things, and I'm
Well,
really excited to see that movie as well.
absolutely. I think we all are. Hopefully, you're now becoming a go-to Yorgos actor on call in the future. But we always look forward to everything that you do, Willem. Like I said before, you're so versatile. You can do, I think, anything, truly, whether it's on stage or on the screen. And it's just been great to just spend a few minutes chatting with you about your role in this film. And I wish you the best of luck, sir.
Great, thank you so much. Been
Thank
good
you.
talking. All right, be well.
Take
Ciao.
care.